You were watching Shop with Giselle Denis.
And here we are again with Shop with Giselle Denis, and we are in the portfolio in the landscape section. And here is the comments. Abstracted landscapes inspired by Canada and desert landscapes in Dubai. I was born and raised in Canada and spend once a year in Dubai live painting for the guests at the Raffles Hotel. I paint the mood and feeling of a place. I paint about the things rather than the actual places or things. Half of my works are created in the privacy of my studio, and the other half have been painted on location, either at the Fairmont Hotel Macdonald in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and the Raffles Hotel in Dubai. Excellent. And this is the portfolio that we will be talking about. Look at it. It's an interesting group of colors. I noticed that it is different slightly. They're richer. The colors are richer. So we're going to look at, first, we're going to look at renewal. And this is a 72 inch by 40 inch. So this is a dominating.
It's a huge piece.
Yeah. And the description is, I painted this after a week-long visit to the mountains. It was a very refreshing and relaxing time, and I felt rejuvenated to get back into painting. That is excellent. What do you remember about this painting?
Yeah, I guess it has to do with when you take a break from your work and you go and you sort of reset. And we do that in the mountains fairly often. And when I have time off, I forget to take time off sometimes, but when I do, I remember how valuable that time off is. And so, you know, you're resetting your system, and there's something about taking a break and rejuvenating your spirit, giving yourself a time to rest and to kind of reset your system to kind of go back into it. And so usually when that happens, because it's been maybe a week since I've painted last, it's like I build up this like creative energy that needs to be like, it needs to come out of me. And often pieces are large. When I take a break from painting, it's like, oh my gosh, this energy is building so much. I need to just like expel it onto a canvas. And so they often end up quite big. So yeah, 6 foot by 3.5 feet, larger than life. Sometimes it requires getting up on a chair. And they often come out of me pretty quickly, like almost like a wild animal is escaping my body. And just lots of happy color, splashes of color, bright and really expressive. I guess most of my work's pretty expressive, but I do remember that about renewal. It's just playing with, you know, I think it's a little bit mountain inspired, like in the background you see a bit of that mountainous shapes, but it's pretty abstracted in its landscape form. But it's more like, that's what I was saying earlier when you were reading earlier about the landscapes title, how I paint about a place. I paint about things. I don't paint specific things necessarily, even though you might see a range of mountains, or you might see even a man-made object in a painting. I guess that's for the next piece we might talk about, but so that's, if you want to tell me what you think of that one.
Well, you know what, we discussed before we went live on the show. I was trying to, because your art is so impactful for me, and it's such a an experience, and I've tried to describe and I'll continue to do that because I think that there is value to that. But I wanted to be able to express better of what I was seeing in it. So I went and I went to the John Paul Getty Museum and downloaded what they call the elements of art. So I'm going to try to just be brief, and as we go through more, I'll get better at it. But the first thing that stands out to me is color. And so when the actual colors are a lot different than what I've seen before. The greens and the purples and the very dark greens are they just seem to, you know, it's just a different color experience. It is a little, there's brightness to it, but there's a little bit of darkness, you know, in the color that is that's presented. So that, you know, that's the first thing I see. The sky too, and the colors in the sky and the blues, and then as it goes towards the mountains and the purples are very they're very rich, and there's a brightness to them, but there's also a dullness to them. So either way, and then the space of it. All your paintings have space, so there's great feeling, depth again in it. There's great movement to it, and as well the texture to it. Now, what I was going to say is, just because your art has such great texture, and on that one that was the walk-through art, and then you just had the side picture so that you could see and you could really sense the texture. Now, is this a similar kind of technique that you do with your others, or is this a smoother, or is this the same?
This has a bit of brushwork and knife work in it, so there's still quite a bit of texture, okay, but maybe not as much as like a forest or floral piece would have, because usually with the trees and the flowers, I build it out even more so. So there's a lot of thick, juicy globs of paint.
Yeah.
Where this one would be, it still has that, but it's more broader strokes and wider, the longer, broader strokes create that more smooth, okay, feeling to it. Yeah.
And what I've learned, or realized with the texture element, is that it triggers other senses. So you're not just seeing, but the texture, you hear, you smell, you taste, you feel from it. And so that's what's so, and it feels like there's a fluidness to the meadow, right? So there's that kind of life in the water type feel to it, and there's so much more that I could discuss that gets into your use of, there's not much negative space. It's just all, in a sense, positive space. I guess the top part with the clouds, am I right there? That's the negative space?
Yes, correct. Yeah, that would be probably considered the negative space. And back to the texture thing, people often would tell me, as I got more thick in my texture, how it makes them happy and their response to the texture. So I really like to listen to what people say and what they love about my art. And so over time, they've developed more. I paid more attention to that, and I allowed that to be part of my process. And so that they continue to be pleasing to the eye, and give you happy feelings and give you all kinds of feels when you're looking at a painting. So yeah,
which is insightful too, because then watching you live, or in my case repeat, because I can't hook up to the live for some reason, but watching you live, you're very happy while you're doing it, right? There's joy to you, and so that when you're applying that, and with the textures, that feeling comes through. So that's interesting. And then the last one I'll touch on, and we'll touch on it more because there's a few other ones, but the line. And we talked about it when I started to see branches in your work. So and then I said that it almost tells a story, and the way that they describe it is that lines lead the eye and communicate information through their character and their direction. So I was feeling the right thing. That was sort of a validation. So here the lines aren't super distinctive, but they draw your line from the bottom right, up to the left, that little group, and then up and then back and forth across the mountain several times there, and then up and swirl it out. So the line is a big part of the story. Beautiful. Absolutely.
And what I love
stunning.
about line is also the continuation and the sort of eternity of a line. How, like, if you had two parallel lines, how they'll never meet, right? They'll never connect.
Right.
And so I like that it gives the viewer almost wanting more when you see a line that continues off the edge of the canvas, and it just kind of goes, it's like this eternal space or something that it provides for your eye. Yeah.
It is interesting. Okay, let's look at.
You are watching Shop with Giselle Denis. Giselle will return in a few moments.
How to commission a painting. So step one, you can send me a picture of your wall. So I would back up, get all the furniture in the room, kind of give me a feel for what's going on in your space, and take a picture. Step two, take some green painter's tape or masking tape and mask out roughly the shape of the painting you're looking for on the wall, and take a picture of that. You want the painting to fill the wall, and usually the wall shape tells you the shape of painting it wants. So if your wall is long and wide, you want a long and wide painting. If your wall is tall and narrow, you want a tall and narrow painting. Also take down those wall dimensions. And then you can email me the photo of the wall with the tape, and the dimensions of the wall. Next step is talking about the image. So when you're coming to an artist for a commission painting, you're going to that artist for the thing that they paint, the thing that they're known for. So people come to me for my flowers, for my blossoms, my mountain scenes, my forest pieces, my wildflower fields. And when you're coming to that artist, you're coming to them for the thing that they do best. I usually direct people to my website. It's all categorized with the different themes that I just mentioned. And this gives me an idea of what your favorite pieces are. And then we talk about the colors, we talk about sort of the composition. So once all the details of the painting are finalized, I take a 50% deposit to get started and the balance of the painting due upon completion. I also do layaway plans, which is really helpful, and a lot of people purchase my work that way. It's just over so many months. You can chip away at it. I store the painting in the studio until your plan is complete. So there you have it. That's how you commission a painting.
The colorful journey. So pardon my internet while it loads up. And here we are. This is a 30-inch by 60-inch. So again, this is a large piece, and we all have a journey to make. Why not make it colorful? Was your comment? What can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, so actually we visited Saskatchewan last summer for a memorial in the family, and when we were coming home, it was such a stormy day, and it was quite a violent storm, like as we were driving off the highway. And in Saskatchewan, if you've driven through the prairies before, it's like you could just look, my dad jokes, you could watch your dog run away for 3 days. It's like so flat and so expansive. So it's actually this beautiful storm, and then the sky, like the colors in the sky, and like the deep dark at the top, and then the sun setting at the same time, and it was just, everything was wet. And then in the distance, it was this perfect moment. We had our playlist going, and in the distance you could see this really colorful train just going by. And trains speak to my spirit, like they have spiritual meaning to me, like they're a metaphor for so many different things. And so, I mean, colorful journey, of course, the train, when you would think of journey, and just how it just makes you think about stuff. When you're driving, of course, makes you think about stuff when you're in the car for a long time, but then having this beautiful scene. So I took a lot of pictures. I kept telling my husband, it probably took us twice as long to drive home. Pull over, I want to take a picture. So I have references to work from, to make some artwork. I had never done anything like this before. This is a second or third in my train series, and I want to keep building onto it because they have so much to say, I think. This man-made object going through this natural landscape, and I just love the feeling I had when I was in that moment. So I wanted to sort of recreate that feeling on canvas.
And it's good, and I have Saskatchewan roots. I actually grew up in Saskatchewan, so that definitely speaks to me. I totally understand the Prairie Storm, the darkening of the sky to it, and it's interesting that you went with purple and then these kind of greeny blues, because these big storms, the colors in them are confusing to grasp. There's many colors in them. And again, with the, I want to start with line though this time. So the line that I'm seeing is there's one on the bottom, and so we're again with color, and we're coming in, and we're dark, but it's bright. So there's a darker color hue value to it, and the hue is rich, and the intensity of it is bright. But the lines now come from the left and bottom. They sort of, there's that V point just off to the right. So it's they move, and then it moves out, and the line across. These are drawing my eye, and they're moving. The makes me go back and forth along the rail cars, which then moves the texture. So this is all telling story, and this week I can see sharper, but I can't see further yet. I can't connect these two yet. I will, but this is very this is good. So then we have we have the positive space, which is a geometric man-made shape or form. But so when they talk about this, they say the shape is 2D, but the form becomes 3D, and the line combining with the line, you say you can look in and begin to tell a lot about the painting. And maybe that's what I'm already doing, because that's how I look. But I like the greens and the rich kind of gold. I guess to me it's I don't know what that color is. It's like a reddy yellow, but to me it has a gold. And that's that speaks of a lot. And then there's a little bit of fence work there, and the trains. So there it is. It has all the elements, and it has the depth again. So it's drawing us through. It's fabulous. It's wonderful.
I love that the darkness of it too. Like, it gives you some grounding. If the whole painting was bright and light, it would almost be floating and not giving you a sense of like stability, maybe. I don't know. But I like the contrast there too.
Because they do value and intensity different. You can have dark, but still be bright. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's not dull. It's not dull at all, but it's not like like one of the bright bouquets, right? This is, and your clouds here, they're very mountainous, right? So it speaks to the authority and the majesty of the skies that you were encountering, and the earth, the color of earth, the ground, the soil. The soil is there. There's so much there. There's so much there. And I just don't want to confuse it with growing up in Saskatchewan, because it's so reminiscent. Did you grow up near a train?
I grew up seeing trains. Like, I grew up, because I grew up here by Elk Island Park. I just from seeing them traveling around with my family around Alberta and stuff like that. But no, I didn't grow up near a train.
The other thing that stands out is the colors that you've chosen for the boxcars. And how the colors go together. They're very interesting.
Yeah, they're so colorful. The trains are so colorful when you pay attention to. I mean, most of them are that rust, deep red rust color, and then but then you see the odd one that all of a sudden there's this bright turquoise one and a bright yellow one, and I was intrigued by that, like just how once in a while you'll see something else, or a yellow one, and even purple, even if it was a duller purple, I just thought they're so pretty. These like big,
but it's
big things.
And what is so neat is the same techniques that you go and that you're seeing and then creating the flowers and the different plants that you're doing. It's the same with the boxcars, and then almost as you expect to see, very clear detail. But when it's the same sort of impressionistic of it. It's almost like there's brands and logos and very sophisticated custom painting on each of these cars.
And then you look closely, and it's very like just gauze of paint. If that's the technical word for you.
But it's that texture. So you're feeling it. You can almost feel the vibration of it, right? It's very So
I kind of wanted to keep it true to still it's still a Giselle painting, and how do I paint? And you can get tempted as an artist, more so early on in your career, to allow other art you see influence you so much that people don't recognize your work, because you paint everything in all these different styles. And so I always look at an image that I'm going to paint and say, okay, how do I paint this? I've never painted trains before. Okay, how do I paint trains? So I didn't want to go and look at other artists' train paintings. I just wanted to go, how will I make this train be like Giselle's version of trains? Because I want like I said before, the world needs you to be you and use your voice. So I'm like, all right, what does that look like for me? And it's not going to look like anyone else's trains in scenes and stuff. So yeah, as much as I can, I really just let my own version come out.
And it's very interesting. It's very, very well done. Like
one of my
there's
favorites. I
actions.
love that
It looks like they have striping on them, and serious branding. They do have striping. They do have serious branding, but that's from this perspective out, right? So you have done that.
To write, like, you know how you see on the trains, it'll say like China, or it'll say Costco.
Yeah.
And so I thought about writing that, and I thought, no, that's too literal for what I'm achieving. I want to achieve here. So I let the knife, like, I do a swipe of highlight across to give you the impression, because it's impressionism. That's what I'm making.
That's right.
And so, giving you the impression of what you might see written there.
And that draws out a lot, right? You could spend days just looking at each moment, right? It's so good. The movement out to it, like you're running out to the track to see what's there. But it's good. The storm's coming.
It's coming.
It's so good. Or it's just left because it's so already knocked. It looks like it's a little bit knocked down. Okay, that's
after the storm.
You were watching Shop with Giselle Denis.
All of my art is available on my website at giselledenis.com.
We all have an ocean to sail on. Wow. Here we go. We all have challenges, but there's beauty in this life full of challenging things. It is all in how you look at those challenges and how you navigate them. What do you say?
I'm going to let you go first on this one. You go first on your thoughts, if you have any.
The one thing that they said about lines is that they are curved as well. So there's a distinctive series of lines coming from top right-hand corner down. There's the line across the middle. So my eye sweeps, and then comes across, right? And that's the lines, and then the line in without depth. So what they're talking about line is just the line, the 1D line story, or and then the train or the sailboat is a diagonal. So you're drawn up to the line. You sweep across, and then you're back and forth out, or you come in back and forth. And if you're coming in, I love how how you've done the trailing thin clouds, but on the sweeping angle coming down, so it's drawing, and then the pooling of the water. Okay, color wise, we've got two, because it's bright again. It's bright and light, but there is bright and dark there as well. And then the colors, very, very, very bright. Now I want to deal with, because line goes right into shape. So then the shape is the shapes that are there, which is the triangle. But then the form is when it develops its 3D and the geometric man-made shape. That from there, they're saying, according to this technique, that you can almost describe what you were thinking or feeling when you painted it. I can't, you know what I mean? But they seem to be confident that they can. I love the shadow effect, and I love it's almost like it's a pool, like there's waves, but it's almost there's a current in there, and a shore. So it makes me feel that the motion that draws me in is the waters are calm, but they're difficult because they're swirling. There is a barrier coming, and there seems to be confusion or challenge in the sky, but it clears off as you move to the right. And so it makes me feel that, my little journey that I'm on is wrought with a challenge, but positive hope, and that you're gonna get wet, and you're gonna get windy, and you might run ashore, but and there's things beneath you, because I don't know if that's so much as a shadow as something.
I love that.
Something trailing that sailboat. That's that's where I'm at. So with that, where are you at?
Yeah, well, I actually didn't even notice this until just now. The shape of the sky, the sweepingness and that angle, it's almost like a close up of the sails in the sailboat.
Yeah.
And so I really like what you said about it gives you hope in the challenges of life. You still have hope. And, you know, it's almost like there's challenges, but it's a reminder in the sky telling you it's going to be okay. Whatever it is, it's going to be okay. Because it's like the sky is looking at this little sailboat going, I see you. I'm in your shape. I'm in the same shape as you. I feel you. I understand you. But everything's
Yes.
going to be okay. And it's almost like this, like these arms spreading out going like, I'm going to hug you in. The wind, come into my wind, and I'm going to help
Yes.
you along this challenging journey. And
That's good.
because I think we could all say life is a challenge. Like, you know, it's not, there's good days, there's bad days, there's easy things and hard things. And I find sailboats and the sky and the ocean, like so much of this is all metaphors for life. And I love the name too. It's just, it's like, you're not alone. We all have an ocean, and we're all on the ocean. But we all sort of, you know, experience it differently, but can have a lot of similar challenges and wind hitting us. And yeah, I love that. I like I said, I could talk about a painting every day in a different way.
You know, and your title, I took the positive of it. Yeah, we all have an ocean to sail on. You know what I mean? And then when you describe the sky, that it's the sail, and the sailboat is going, it's like even the sky is involved in helping you, you know, along your journey, because the sail, the wind is coming from back from behind it, and if that's the sail, it would be pushing in the same direction as the sailboat. It's beautiful.
Isn't that neat? I love that.
It is. It is so good. Thank you, Giselle.
Thank you, James.
Audio Jungle.
You were watching Shop with Giselle Denis.